Well, like I told you, we'll be having a conversation on insurance penetration in the country, and I'll be shortly speaking to Salim Naidu, who works with Alliance Global, to just give us the latest developments when it comes to matters insurance. Thank you, Salim, for making time.
Absolutely pleasure to meet you, Abby. Thank you for the time.
The big question in the minds of many insurance people is that penetration in Kenya hasn't been growing as anticipated. We are now at 3% penetration, and if you look at some of our peers like South Africa, they're just above 15%. Perhaps from where you sit, how do we need to drive the insurance agenda moving forward?
Maybe if I can answer it in twofold. So in South Africa, it's a very evolved insurance industry. It's a very mature market. So maybe we've been ahead of the game for the last few years. The interesting part about Kenya is that even though you say it's a very low insurance penetration of 3%, there's great opportunity in Kenya, to grow that penetration. But I think before we look at growing the penetration, we just need to look at maybe how the 3% is actually made up currently. And there's where the concern is. A significant part of that 3%, almost 2/3 of that, constitutes motor vehicle insurance. And to be more specific, commercial motor vehicle insurance. And as you know, insurers often have difficulty in running profitable books related to motor insurance.
That's true.
So
lots of fraudulent claims here and there.
Absolutely, and you need to have the back end, your repairers, your panel beaters, your surveyors. You need to avoid collusion in that industry to ensure the profitability of the segment.
So how do we strike a mix and have a portfolio that is diversified?
I think behind motor, medical insurance forms the next segment, and what is disappointing is that fire insurance makes up about 10%. So clearly the portfolio mix is wrong. It is not sustainable for the long term. And I think there needs to be a dramatic change in changing the portfolio. But you can't do that overnight. So I think just briefly being in Kenya, talking to some of the industry experts, more importantly talking to some of my colleagues in the Kenya office, it looks like there needs to be more awareness, there needs to be education of the consumers. Unfortunately, I work for a global organization as well, but too often in the industry, we tend to want to force products, in terms of products and services to consumers that are not really aligned to consumers' needs. I think there needs to be a robust dialogue with customers, and that needs to come from all levels, not just your regulator pushing the agenda, but there needs to be dialogue with all stakeholders in order to understand the necessity of having adequate insurance in place.
So what's the outlook for insurance penetration in Africa now that you're seeing a number of companies are trying to rejig their products to sort of cut through the market and involve the grassroots people to get actually insurance products?
Look, the global average is about 6.5% in terms of growth on insurance premiums. Africa averages about 4.5%. Obviously, Kenya is slightly lower at about 3%. But I think Kenya has great opportunity. I've been reasonably encouraged seeing the level of construction activity that's happening in your city right now. That's a clear stimulus for more economic activity. It creates jobs. So it's a good thing. And I think along that, maybe products and services can be developed to target that particular segment. But there are many other segments. I think in terms of microinsurance, just my perception, Kenya seems to be in infancy stage on how we optimally distribute microinsurance products. I've learned a lot of people have cell phones in Kenya. Not everyone necessarily has a banking account. So
70% penetration.
70% penetration, which is fantastic, by the way. But maybe we develop solutions that are aligned to more digital technology. We embrace more mobile technology and how we distribute more affordable insurance products to consumers.
Many thanks there. Salim Naidu, who is with Alliance Global, just talking to us on matters to do with insurance. Of course, we do continue to monitor how the sector continues to respond. Many thanks, Salim.
Thank you for your time, Abby.
I appreciate it. Well,